Rob Thomas with Club and Resort Business, and welcome to another episode of Club and Resort Talks podcast. Today's podcast is sponsored by Fiberbuilt Cushions and Umbrellas. Fiberbuilt has been manufacturing shade product, bases, and cushions for hotels, restaurants, country clubs, timeshares, and cruise lines for years. Popular models for the club market include the Signature Prestige Collection with one-piece poles, heavy-duty hubs, and powder-coated and proprietary fiber teak simulated wood finishes. Other important shade products used at the clubs and resorts are cantilever, beach, pavilion, and cabana models. Learn about these and so much more at fiberbuiltumbrellas.com. Now that we got that, let's introduce you to Phil Keren, our senior editor. Phil, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you? Sun's out, even though it's kind of chilly.
That's it. The sun makes a big difference, though. So I'm happy. It looks like spring, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like spring today.
Right. Definitely looking as
What
we're
have you
heading
been
towards.
seeing in the news of late?
Well, let's see. I was trying to focus on some positive stuff about some courses opening or reopening, that kind of stuff. We were looking at. I saw today the Seagate Golf Club in Delray Beach, Florida. They've opened. They've now opened all 18 holes. I guess they had opened 9 holes back in December, which we reported on at the time, and now we're reporting on the fact that they do have all 18 holes open again. They had actually closed last year, almost a year ago this time, April of 2023, to do a full renovation of the course. So now they've put together improvements to the greens, fairways, tees, bunkers, irrigation, drainage, turf grasses, landscaping, driving range and practice facilities. Alex Schnoller, managing director of Seagate, said our members are thrilled with the new course, finding it both challenging and user-friendly. And he said, we are now recognized as one of the best courses in the region and are thrilled to provide our members with this new world-class experience. And I thought, Rob, it was interesting that quote about where the phrase there, finding it both challenging and user-friendly. I think that's probably the ultimate balance you're trying to find with a golf course is to make it challenging enough that people enjoy that challenge, because I think that's part of what people enjoy about golf, but user-friendly enough that a golfer of almost any level can experience some success and then want to return to the course again to try again.
Yeah, length is a great thing to have, but when you got water and bunkers everywhere and there's no place to run up your golf ball, it hurts some of the beginning golfers. So I know a lot of courses have kept water or even added water, bunkers in certain areas, but have taken away water or bunkers in front of greens, or taken away the forced carry, or made it a little bit easier to get across a body of water or an open area. So that's good. Good for the Seagate. I believe it's like a $14.5 million project that included the clubhouse too. So a lot was going on down there, and I bet the members are loving it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're enjoying the balancing aspect of the challenge and user friendliness at the same time. Because I think with golf, that's kind of what attracts people to it in the first place. Is there's always a new challenge to face with it, but as long as you experience some success, you'll be interested in trying it again. So let's see, heading, I guess, to the west, to Texas. There had been a course there formerly known as Cape Royale Golf Course in Cold Spring, Texas. It's about 60 miles north of Houston. That course, Cape Royale, closed 6 years ago and has been abandoned since then. But I thought this was interesting. It's now scheduled, or where that course was, is now scheduled to reopen as a new course in spring, summer of 2026. And it's going to be renamed. There's a long name here. Right now, it's planned to be renamed TRA Lake Livingston Regional Public Golf Course. Landscapes Unlimited has been selected by Trinity River Authority to direct this redevelopment. And so, yeah, the project's going to be the Landscapes Unlimited, looking at doing all the site planning, design, engineering, permitting, all that, contractor selection, project administration, bid process. They're handling all that. I just thought it was an interesting one to point out because it's And we've certainly, Rob, had stories about courses or the land where a course once was that had been dormant and redeveloped as a golf course. I have to say though, 6 years of sitting there without anything happening with it might be the longest one I've seen so far in following this over the last couple of years. So great to see that the wheels are in motion to having that become a golf course here in about 2.5 years.
Yeah, love it, love it. Inside secret, we are recording this on Good Friday, so it seems appropriate to have a resurrection of a golf course. That's probably sacrilegious. I should probably edit that out, but I'm going to leave it in because let's get people pissed off at me. But hey, here we go. Good news. We got a golf course coming back. 6 years is a long time.
That's a long time, and yeah, I was just gonna say hats off to the people who are in organizations that are involved with it who decided to kind of take a chance on that to see if it would work out. And it seems like a good time, as we've noted over the last couple of years. Golf experienced that, I'll say it, rebirth, resurrection during COVID as well. So it seems like it might be a good opportunity to go back to places that had a golf course in the past and use the land again for a new course. So great stuff to see.
Yeah, kind of surprised that land didn't become an Amazon warehouse or a residential development or Walmart, whatever.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny you mentioned that because there was a golf course about 4 or 5 miles from my house that did close several years back now. And yes, there are some big box stores now on that site. So that's what happened with that. And it's too bad because it was a nice course. Actually, my oldest son learned to play golf there. So too bad we had to see that move on. But looking down, actually, now I'm going to go, let's see, further west, northwest now to Montana. The Wilderness Club in Montana, actually out in Eureka, Montana, is partnering with Escalante Golf. And Escalante is going to oversee a $15 million plus project, include expansion and improvements. At the same time, they're going to manage the golf operations, hospitality, food and beverage, real estate development and sales. Um, the club itself sounds like it's in a great location. I noticed 8 miles from the Canadian border in northern Montana, halfway between Glacier National Park and a national forest. It's surrounded by lakes, mountains, and protected forests, and features an 18-hole, 7,200-yard golf course designed by Sir Nick Faldo. So one of the greats, one of the golfing greats, designing that. Um, and great to see that they're, and as I understand it too, that's going to be working toward the course becoming, or the facility, I guess, becoming, yes, they're going to go back to being a fully private club in honor of the founder's original vision. So things looking up for a wilderness club out there. Something that a lot of, in addition to golf, they have all kinds of, as you might guess, Montana, a lot of outdoor flavored activities, opportunities for fishing, canoeing, paddleboarding, kayaking, swimming, you name it, all kinds of things happening out there. And good for them to have a new partner here, joint venture partner, to help provide some upgrades that I'm sure people out there will really enjoy.
Yeah, big news in Big Sky Country. It looks like that's a big boy golf course. 7,200 yards is no joke. And I don't know how far the ball is going to fly. I don't think it's at necessarily elevation, so that could be all you could want and more.
Yeah, I did notice. It's funny you mentioned that. I noticed that yardage too when I was reading that. That's a big course there for sure. Hopefully they have multiple tees that you can try things out from to help out the golfers at various levels of play.
Yeah, I generally move in one from the tips. So, the blue
Mhm.
tees, if the black are the tips, the blues. But I think there I might have to even go up a little further.
Yeah.
Get that white tee out there and play it around 6,600. I'm not sure if that's the right yardage, but that's where I generally like to play. So 72 is a little long for me.
Yes, me as well. Even in my younger prime, that would have been long for me on that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, Phil, so I'm glad you shared all that good news. We do
It
have
is.
some more good news too from an interview, I believe, that you're fresh off of. It's gonna be following us here on the podcast, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's some other good news. And actually, an angle I wanted to tackle, and I had asked some club owner, club GMs and head pros and directors of golf. We're here, of course, in the northern part of the United States, where we know that golf unofficial season starts around April 1st, usually. Of course, these last couple winters have been milder, so it kind of caused me to wonder. Well, I wonder if some courses in our area, in this part of the country, have considered the idea of officially opening for the season sooner than that unofficial April 1st date. And I heard from Jason Pearsall, he's the managing partner with Revive Golf Management. Revive operates Warren Valley Golf Course in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. They're in a lease agreement with the city of Dearborn Heights. I should mention I visited Jason and his staff last summer, last August, had a great visit there as they were working on restoring the course. And that's an important point to bring up. The course was designed by the great Donald Ross. It's been around for just over 100 years. And for much of their history, there were two 18-hole courses, an East course and a West course. Um, Lots of things happened over the years. Uh, a couple years ago, everything was closed. Jason's group got together about a year and a half ago and got the course revived, if you will. I'm sorry, one of the courses revived. The West course is open as an 18-hole course right now. And this year, back to my original thing, with the warmer weather, they decided to open for the season early March here, early mid March, and it's gone very well for them so far. Um, so I got a chance the other day to talk with Jason about that, about kind of what went into that decision, what they had to do, also what advice he would have for another country club GM or director of golf if they're thinking about opening their course sooner than usual for the season. A lot of good stuff there. It was a great discussion.
Terrific. Hey, enough of you and me then. Let's get to Jason.
Welcome back to Club and Resort Talks. I'm Phil Keren. Well, we just finished a very mild winter here in the northern part of the United States. Very little snow. Much of the time, the temperatures weren't even that cold. There were definitely a number of days when I noticed the unseasonably warm temperatures and thought about dusting off my clubs and checking around to see if any nearby golf courses were open. So I decided to go on LinkedIn and I asked country club and golf club leaders whether they had opened their course earlier than usual due to the warmer weather. I did hear from Jason Pearsall. He's a managing partner with Revive Golf Management, which operates Warren Valley Golf Course and Banquet Center in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. They operate that course in a long-term lease agreement with the city of Dearborn Heights. And Jason told me he had decided to open Warren Valley Golf Course a little earlier than usual. So I've invited him on here to talk with us about that today. Jason, welcome to Club and Resort Talks.
Hey, Phil, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you for joining us. First of all, kind of talk to me about what factors you considered when you decided to open the course earlier than usual.
A lot of golf courses these days use a phone tree system, and that phone tree system forwards to your cell phone, right? So when my phone is blowing up because golfers are calling our course and they're wanting to play golf, it causes us to look at what the opportunity is. And when we looked at the long-term weather outlook, we saw there was going to be a week of weather where we were going to be above 50, and we even touched 70 for a couple of days there. And it was just too good of an opportunity to not open from a revenue standpoint. And also, it's always good to make your golfers happy, right? So when you have pass holders, or what we call our members, as well as a lot of our community looking to take advantage of the facility, it's kind of a win-win. You make money and also you make them happy by opening. So it was a no-brainer for us.
Sounds great. So talk about that. I guess once you decided you were going to do that, what were kind of your next steps there in that process? What did you have to do? Do you have to do anything differently, or is it just a matter of accelerating the process? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think every golf course goes into the spring with a goal and with plans of how they'd like to open it up under ideal conditions. Maybe the greens are going to stimp at a certain level and the bunker renovation is going to be complete, or whatever the projects are, right? And sometimes you have to make some compromises as to what the product you're offering are. Certainly, the soil temperatures are still, below 50 degrees up here in Michigan, and grass isn't growing. So we've got to be very careful. We roll every other day, but we're not cutting the greens. I think we actually may have done a first cut recently, but we've been open now for several weeks and we weren't cutting them for most of that time. So you have to kind of communicate to your golfers what the expectations are. So, we're stimping at an 8 right now, which is well below what we normally are. And we let our golfers know that as they're coming out. You set expectations, you also price for expectations. So we're certainly not charging what our peak rate is. And that's a big part of it as well. So yeah, you make some compromises, but you also communicate what those compromises are and you give your customers a little bit of a break.
Absolutely. And so I believe, well, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So right now, the golfers have to stay on the cart, or the carts have to stay on the cart path at this point, correct?
Yeah, we so far at this point have kept it cart path only. We were really
Mhm.
fortunate to do a complete cart path renovation project last year. So tee to green, all new cart paths, and we cater to a large senior community. So we were really strategic when we worked with the architect to lay out where the cart paths were going to be placed, and really we're no further than 30 yards from any tee box or green on our golf course. And so it hasn't been too much of an inconvenience to keep it to cart path only. Of course, you have, golfers who don't like to follow rules every now and then. And, you do the best you can with them. But for the most part, we've kept all the golfers on the cart and it's been fairly minimal turf damage.
Okay. Very good. So, I mean, is that something where, is that a process though, where you're having rangers out making sure, I mean, policing it perhaps a little more than you would have normally, because it is early in the season like that?
Yeah, we do during peak times. So
Mhm.
one thing about the golfers that we're seeing is we're seeing core golfers, right? You don't have people who are just starting to play the game that are itching to play in 45-degree weather, right? You have people who are typically fairly good players. We were just commenting at our course about how the pace of play has greatly improved. Like we're well below 4 hours right now, just because you good golfers that are coming out playing quickly who respect the rules and know the game, and generally respect the course as well. So that helps. But nevertheless, on weekends when we're going to have good weather, we're definitely staffing our golf services with rangers, with starters, and patrolling and looking for offenders.
Right. And actually on that, or I guess to expand on that point, are there any other, I guess, special rules for golfers that you're asking them to follow with it again starting the season earlier than normal?
We have fewer tee boxes that are open. We typically have 5 tee boxes open. I think right now we have 3. We don't have bunkers and rakes, so our staff rakes every morning, but we're not having golfers rake. We're not putting divot repair boxes or out like we typically would be. So there I guess there are some things that make it a little bit easier for the golfer. But it just I think that's pretty typical for Michigan golf in March.
Right, absolutely. Well, it occurred to me as you're talking about that, no bunker rake or and no and then divot replacement stuff not there either. I guess that probably, I'm guessing, in addition to the fact, like you said, it's that you're more experienced golfers who are heading out there right now. I guess all those factors put together probably, I would think, explain why the pace of play has been so good so far, right?
Yeah, definitely. Pace of play is definitely you know across the industry, we've seen a lot of new faces, which has been great for golf courses and good for the industry. But I would definitely say the pace of play has slowed down as we see those new faces. And so, it's one of those things that you take the good with the bad, but altogether is more, is a win for golf.
Absolutely, absolutely. Talk a little bit though too. We have an audience of club managers, and head pros listening. What when we're talking about opening a golf course in the northern part of the country earlier than expected, if you will, what's on the sort of, I guess, from a course maintenance perspective and, a staffing perspective inside the clubhouse, if you will, what is it you have to do there? What's happening in that process?
Yeah, so let's talk course first.
Sure. Good.
First, one of the reasons that we were able to open early is because we have a tremendous grounds crew, a great superintendent. They were very diligent with closing down the course in the fall. They stayed on top of things across the winter, and we also had a fairly mild winter, which helped, right? But every golf course is going to have to clean up the course, remove leaves, remove debris, clean out the drainage system, little things you don't think of, like you need to prepare the bathrooms and turn water on, put trash receptacles out, cut pins, roll greens, place tee boxes and flags, and ensure that signage is properly displayed so everybody's going in the right direction, right? So you need to get the course itself ready. We were just in a good position where our staff worked hard. We were in a good spot. So those things were for the most part together. That said, the course definitely doesn't look as beautiful as it does during the summer. As I mentioned earlier, the greens aren't going to stimp as fast as you're going to see in May or in July. And so, there's realistic expectation setting when it comes to just kind of the annual cycle of a golf course.
Oh,
Now,
go
with
ahead. Yep.
yeah, aside from just kind of setting the golf course or getting the course ready, you still have to do things like get your fleet ready. You'd be surprised how dusty a golf cart fleet gets at the end of a winter, filling up every cart, testing it, staging the vehicles. We're really fortunate to have some salaried staff who work in our golf shop and also on our grounds crew, and they're available. But there's a lot of seasonal help that just isn't available. So, I mean, you had talked about what we have to do in the clubhouse. We have a unique situation. We have a pro shop and a golf course, and the clubhouse is managed by another party. And so we're kind of, the clubhouse isn't open right now. We just opened the golf course and the pro shop, and we have that salaried staff. But they're definitely, kudos to our team. They're working really hard. They're working extended hours. They're doing it with, wearing lots of hats and doing multiple jobs, like a lot of golf professionals do in our industry, and more so this time of year than other times of the year.
Okay. So a lot going on there, a lot of moving parts. And also, and I should ask this before as we were talking about the rules you're asking golfers to follow. How have these, and I know you've mentioned so far it's your more experienced golfers who are making their way onto the course. What has their feedback been so far about the earlier than usual opening?
They're just happy to play, right? When you can play golf in Michigan this time of year, it's hard to come on the course smiling. And although your lips might be a little blue, you're usually still smiling when you leave. So haven't had any complaints. I guess we're fortunate. We've got a good community of golfers here in Dearborn Heights.
Well, good, great, good to hear. So going forward, is that I mean, I guess assuming the weather cooperates as it did this year for golf, if it does cooperate, do you think this is something you'll continue doing to open the course, try to open the course in early to mid March as you did this year?
Yeah, not only do we look at opening earlier, the other side is just staying open later, right? We actually we closed down early November, maybe mid-November last year, and we looked at the season. I mean, we shut down too early. There were definitely a lot of rounds that we left on the table in December even, right? And so I think it not only changes how early we open, but how late we close every year. And it most golf most public golf courses around us are going to be open if there's enough rounds to support the play, right? So it's more of a question of, is this new weather going to enable golfers to play more golf insofar we can justify, the expense of opening the golf course? And that seems to be the case, right? So we've seen, since in the post-COVID world, more golfers. We're definitely seeing warmer weather, and to me that translates to golf courses, in the Midwest being open more days a year.
Right. Absolutely. It looks like the start, possibly the start of a long-term trend for the golfing world in the north here. Because yeah, I know my coworker and I, Rob Thomas, and I have often talked about the idea that the unofficial start of golf season up here in the north is typically April 1st. At least I think in my mind and many other minds of people who have lived here their whole lives. But who knows? Maybe unofficial starts March 15th or something like that. How about that?
We'll take it, definitely. We had planned also April 1st is kind of what our programming is as the kickoff of the season. And,
Mhm.
I It was kind of funny. It really happened on a whim. We were looking at the weather, we were getting the phone calls. I'm really fortunate to have a tight knit group. We were all hitting balls at a simulator, just doing some programming for the year. And the staff said, like, let's do it. Like, I'm excited to get back out, just like our golfers were. And so we made the call, we opened up, and it was the right decision.
Right, excellent. So for club GMs and head pros who are watching us here today on the podcast or listening, any advice you would offer to them? I mean, beyond what you've already mentioned now, in terms of what they should think about if say next year they're looking at opening earlier than that unofficial April 1st date.
Yeah, distribution's important, right? So
Mm,
how do your golfers find out that you're open? I looked at our simple PPC spends, our pay-per-click ads, and for golf courses that aren't taking advantage of Google ads, you absolutely should. I think we bid for, golf in Dearborn Heights or even golf in Detroit, like less than 60 cents per click, to convert that into a golfer. When I look at the traffic, it's skyrocketed. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is most of the golf courses in our area didn't turn their spend back on in time, right? So that we weren't competing against them for ads. And so a lot of golfers were finding us. We looked at our distribution channels, things like Supreme Golf. It's a distribution partner that doesn't barter in their model. They charge the golfer 50 cents and the golf course itself captures 100% of the revenue. So a little plug for them, but they helped us, get the word out that we were open. And so what we started to see is a lot of new faces, right? Golfers that we didn't see in the past that weren't in our system, that because there weren't a ton of golf courses open, are now new Warren Valley customers. And a lot of people had said, we didn't know you guys had done this big renovation. We'll be back. And we're excited about that for the future too. But the key is you can't just, open up your tee sheet and expect to be open. You have to have a plan. We were active on social media too, letting our community know that we were opening. And so, that's what I'd recommend is just if you're going to be open early, not only open, the tee sheet and open your doors, but also have a plan for how you're going to make your community aware of the available inventory.
Yes, in our busy world, communication is probably more important than ever, I would think.
Yep. No, agreed. And, simple email markets out to your database and things like that are important too.
Very good, very good. So for the audience, I should bring them up to speed on this. I was up to visit Jason and his staff last August to visit the course. And for a little background, Warren Valley is a course that was designed by legendary architect Donald Ross. It's been around for just over 100 years now. And for much of the history, and Jason, you can correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but hopefully I have this right. For much of their history, they had two 18-hole golf courses on an east and a west course. And Jason's company, Revive Golf Management, took over the operations of the course about a year and a half ago, and a lot of work was done to restore the West course, which is there now, the 18-hole course at Warren Valley. And I know a lot of work is still being done. Jason, can you kind of bring us up to speed on what's happening with all the work? And if I said anything wrong there, you can feel free to correct me as well.
Yeah, no, Phil, I appreciate it. We came in under some tough circumstances. We signed a management contract in August of 2022 to take over a golf course that had been closed for a year and a half. And so every green was dead. You couldn't recognize that it was a golf course at the point that we had taken it over. So we had Herculean task to get the course open by April of the next year. And there was no way that we could get, more than 18 holes open. We resodded every green. We overseeded, all fairways, bunkers, a large part of the rough as well. Restored every bunker, tee to green, new cart pass. Repaired drainage that had been neglected for decades and added a lot of additional drainage. So, our team worked their tails off for a 9-month period to get the course open and to get 18 open, right? And so we couldn't, just kind of under the time limitations, get 36 holes. As we've opened the course, last year we did 25,000 rounds, which, we had a late start. We opened in mid-May. And this year we'll likely do around 35 to 40,000 rounds, just kind of given, the course is open, it's in better condition. People know about it again. And that's a tricky number for 36 holes because you just don't really know at 40,000 rounds if you're going to financially be able to support 36 holes of golf. And so we're kind of really paying close attention to the rounds. And when we get to that 40,000 number, we'd like to add at least an additional 9 holes. And that is the long-term plan, is to add an additional 9 holes. One thing that we've done over the last year is we've restored the old 18th hole of the East course and have built that into a full practice area where golfers can hit 200-yard approach shots. There's bunkers there, and we're also putting in a driving range just to the other side of the practice area that used to be holes 1 and 10 east of the of the East course. Now, the way that we're putting in the driving range, we're actually using the tee boxes of 1 and 10 East, just kind of bridging them together. We did have to remove 2 trees that, we could replant, but there's always a possibility of restoring the full 36 if, the demand is there and we have the rounds to justify it. But for the foreseeable future, we'll have 18 holes, a practice area, a driving range, and in the short term, kind of midterm plan would be to build another 9 holes.
Okay. Maybe we're getting too far ahead of ourselves, but do you have sort of a preliminary timetable on when you might put in the additional 9 holes, or are we still too far away from that to be specific, I guess?
Yeah, it's a city-owned golf course, right? We have a long-term lease of the contract of the course, and we would need the city's buy-in for whatever the plan is. And so, we'll see what the rounds justify and what the community wants, and we'll evaluate as kind of we go. There definitely has been the interest and the demand for a driving range and the practice area that we put in, and we hope to go to the community and say, hey, look, we're doing 50,000 rounds. You have a wait list to get onto the golf course. We should add another 9 holes to accommodate the demand of the community. But if you don't have that demand, a golf course, as we go through, you had mentioned 100-year history of this golf course. It's gone through a lot of ups and downs, right? Periods where it couldn't support itself and it lost then Wayne County millions of dollars to operate over periods of time. And we don't want to ever leave at the end of our lease Dearborn Heights in that situation. We want to leave them with a golf course that's going to be successful, that's viable for the future, that's going to be here for another 100 years. So making that decision to add 9 more holes is a big long-term strategic decision that we'll make with all the key stakeholders and the community's input and being considerate.
Okay. Very good. Well, Jason, I appreciate you stopping by today. A lot of good insight on opening a course early, and it was nice to get caught up a little bit on what's happening there as far as the work on the course and possibility of adding a 9 holes. But adding all the practice areas sounds terrific for golfers. I wish you best of luck. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, Phil. Hope to have you out this year.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch for sure. And a reminder for everybody today to see news updates on stories happening in the club and resort industry, as well as to watch other podcasts like this one, visit clubandresortbusiness.com. As always, take care, stay well, and have a great day.